What's up, everybody? Today, the long requested video of how to read Manwha is finally here. So the star of the video today is solo leveling. I believe this Manwha is in the process of being animated, or it's already been animated and is set to be released this year or next year. But I really like this one. You can read it for free on the solo leveling site, which will be in the description bar below. Okay, so starting out with just a regular panel, there's not much going on. As you can see, we have 2 text bubbles with some narration text and action text going on. So as you can see, we're starting in the upper, more so to the left with this bubble, and then we come down here to this bubble, which is also toward the left. So this panel, clearly it's more so everything is to the left, if you will. So not too much going on, not really confusing. Now we get to this next panel, and as you can see, it's a little bit more busy. Starting at the top right here, we can see that once you get to the bottom, it can be confusing. You don't know if you should come down this way or if you should come down this way, right? In the past, I always say, follow the conversation. Which one makes sense to you? And in this situation, after reading this top bubble here, you would come down here and then focus on these 2 here. And then from there, you would jump up to this bubble here and then down to this one here. And if you follow the context of the conversation, it makes sense when you read it. Here we have another panel that is kind of the reverse of the previous one. As you can see, we start up here and then we come here, which is beginning to look like your traditional left to right, like a Japanese manga. And then from there you jump down toward the middle, and then from there you go back down to the left. So as you can see, it kind of goes from the left to the right to the middle and then back to the left. And this is what I'm saying when I say that, like, Manwha, they can get confusing because the direction of the dialogue is constantly changing. It seems like almost that each panel has its own directional flow of dialogue. Now, if we look at this panel, it's kind of in the same flow as the previous one. There is a dialogue box here, and then that jumps there. And then from there, we go back down to the left. To the right. And then we jump back to the left, and then we keep to the left, as you can see here. And so this panel is starting at the left and then moving to the right, and then gradually makes its way back to the left. Now here's a really good one that's busy, but as you can see, the direction of dialogue has changed. First, we're starting here, top right. We have action text there, action text or a thought. And then from the top right dialogue chat bubble, we go from the right toward the left here, back to the right, and then back down to the left. So as you can see, it follows a pattern of like a zigzag, almost like it's a pattern of a zigzag almost. And that's what I find most of what Manwha and Manhwas tend to be with their dialogue. It follows more of a zigzag pattern, whether it's starting from the left or from the right. It tends to follow this zigzaggy like pattern. If we jump back to the previous panel, you can see, and I'll use a vibrant color, but you can see here kind of like a zigzaggy here, not this section here jumbles it up, but as you can see, even though it starts at the left, it still kind of has like a zigzaggy flow. Okay, and so here we are again, starting at the top right, coming down, still maintaining our top right. We have a thought or narration bubble here, and then we bounce down to the left there. Now here's a panel, another simple one, but as you can see, we're now starting from the left, and then we're going down to the right, and as you can see here, there is another bubble of dialogue. So again, if you can see, it follows, oh, you can't see that. As you can see, it follows a zigzag of a pattern. And again, starting at the top right, coming down to the left, then bouncing over toward the middle rightish, following a zigzag pattern again. So as you can see, just like how Japanese manga has its own patterns, so does Manwha. Now, another thing that I notice is that with Manwha, you'll see a lot of linear, like same latitude of dialogue, where this bubble and this bubble are even, so you really can't tell which one is first to read, right? And because I've read this Manwha already, I know that this text bubble here is the first one that you read based off the previous dialogue. But this is something, this situation here that I see where they are parallel to each other. I actually only see this in Manwha. I don't actually think I see this often in Japanese manga. And I don't know why this happens or if it's particular to Solo Leveling. But I actually only see this parallel thing happening in Manwha. I may have seen it once in another Manwha, but yeah, you see, you get this parallel dialogue often. And so in situations like this, it is best to just simply rely on context of dialogue. What makes sense? Because you'll find out fairly quickly just reading what conversation would make sense versus which one won't. And in this panel, we have some more kind of some left to right action going, but again, left, right, left, right, left, and it's a zigzag pattern. Regardless, I'm not going to say that traditionally Manwha is supposed to be read from right to left or left to right, because as we can see here, the direction of dialogue changes constantly between panels. The panel before this one in the Manwha probably started right to left. Starting at the right up here, we jump down to the left, back to the right, and off into the middle, zigzag. It's just a zigzag pattern style. So if you find that you're having issues reading panels like this, remember to try to follow a zigzag style of reading. And then again, here we have another one where we have three. Whoa, what happened to red there? We have three parallel dialogue boxes. And for panels like this, truly you have to rely on what was above. What was the conversation happening above this panel? And again, I've read this and I know it starts here, here, and then there. And then here again, starting from the top left down to the bottom right. We see that there are many ways to read the dialogue in a manhwa. One that follows these zigzag patterns where your dialogue bubbles hit kind of in these points here, both left and right. So either direction you will have a zigzag pattern of some kind majority of the time. And then you also have just the straight across, where dialogue bubbles can parallel each other. And it's just it can be kind of confusing. So for Manwha, I would say that context plays a huge part in what you're doing. In what you're reading, because the dialogue direction can change so much. Relying on strictly the direction of how you think dialogue bubbles are meant to be placed won't necessarily cut it. And so, for the sake of keeping confusion to a minimum, my advice to all the new beginner readers of Manwha is to first follow context of the dialogue and then follow the direction. And also see if you can spot the zigzag pattern when you're reading a Manwha. This could just be specific to solo leveling. I've only ever read like a couple of Manwha, but I do recall all of them having constant dialogue direction changing with the bubbles. And I do remember some of them having this zigzag pattern. And also remember to beware of the paralleling of dialogue bubbles. Rely on context of the conversation, of the storyline, to help guide you when it comes to Manwha. All right, that's all I got for you guys. I really hoped this video helped. If there's something that I got wrong or something that I didn't mention, drop it down in the comments below. Let's help each other out. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. And again, you can find the link to read Solo Leveling in the description below. Also, I have other how to read manga videos. If you are struggling to read manga, check those out too.